Hi, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and the show you're about to listen to is an encore presentation of either Spirit Talk, Positive Talk, or Kevin McDonald Presents. Therefore, the numbers that may be presented on the show are not active at this time, but the content is so good, and I think you'll enjoy them. They're highly entertaining, even if I do say so myself. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and please enjoy the following episode. Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. All right, welcome to the Kevin McDonald Show, Positive Talk in the afternoon. I hope everyone is well today. You know, I didn't get to do the tease at the top of the hour, and so nobody knows what we're going to do today. So I guess I'll tell you now. We have Michael Poulson, who is an astrologer from Seattle. He is a certified professional astrologer who is an engaging, he's funny. You guys will like. Welcome back to the Kevin McDonald Show, Positive Talk in the afternoon, and we're sitting here with Michael Poulson. Mike.
Hello. Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm really happy to be here. I absolutely love your show.
Well, thank you.
So you're doing a really good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're so glad that you're here, because I've been trying to find someone who could talk about astrology, because for me it's a science that is just it's a very important piece, but I have no idea what it is.
Right. Well, that's why I'm here. Let's talk about it.
Exactly. And you're also on Conscious Talk.
That's right. Sunday nights,
and you can find you now. You're on what time do you
usually
come on?
I'm in the second half of the show. The show runs from 8 to 10, and usually I pop on around 9 o'clock. And we'll do anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes of astrology, talk about what's going on for the week, maybe do some forecasting, sort of talk about the current astrological energies and symbolism of what's going on. So it's a lot of fun.
Huh?
What?
Yeah. I don't know any of that stuff. So
good. So
we need to. So, ladies and gentlemen, tune in to Conscious Talk on Sunday night from 8 to 10.
Right here.
They have a great show. And if you're not doing anything exciting on Sunday night, that would be a wonderful thing to do. Take
Absolutely.
a bubble bath and listen to the radio.
There you go.
And have some fun with it. By the way, I want to get the numbers out. If you'd like to give us a call and talk astrology with Michael, you can do it 425-373-5527, or our brand new toll-free number for outlining areas, 888-298-5569. Okay. Astrology.
Yes.
What is it?
What is it? You sort of intimated a little bit in where you say it's a science. Some people say astrology is a science. Of course, the scientists would never believe that. They wouldn't agree. It's somewhere between a science and an art, because it does have both. It has, qualities of both. In terms of the science side of things, we map out where the planetary locations are. There's geometry. There's a lot of calculations and numbers that go into creating an astrological chart, which some people find a lot more comforting than, say, going to a psychic or a tarot reader, where the information is just coming out of nowhere. A lot of people like to look at the chart. Here's a piece of paper with the math and the planetary location. So there is that science side of it. There's also an art side of it, which falls in the interpretation of the chart. Because some of the symbols can be interpreted in different ways. They can apply to different areas of life, and that's up to the job of the astrologer to really find out and work with the client in finding out, what does this mean for you right now? What does it portend in the future? What's coming up for you? What's been going on? What is going on?
Well, where did astrology come from? I know it's been around for ever.
Ever. Pretty much ever since there were humans.
Really? They could look up in the stars. And
we do know that cultures all over the world have been looking to the stars for primarily agrarian societies were the big start of it, because you needed to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to move the tribe. And the easiest way to do that in prehistoric times was to look at the sky. We know that every time the sun goes to this position in the sky, we got to pack up and move. Or every time that the moon is in this position, this is what's going on. So it really started, that way. Pretty much every culture on the planet had some type of sky-based calendar for timing their cultural events, for planting, all the agrarian stuff. So that's sort of where we believe astrology actually started. But as far as historical records are able to be tracked back, we found, like I was there, they have found the earliest recording of an astrological horoscope, which is actually chiseled into a piece of rock, believe it or not. How Flintstones is this? We're looking at, they've carbon dated this piece of rock to 427 BC. So we know that astrology was at least being used in terms of omen-based astrology, where you look at a chart and you're trying to, figure out what's going on. How does this tie into the human condition? So we know that astrology at least existed as we sort of understand it at that period.
So it's at least 2,500 years old.
At least.
But more than likely, it's a lot older than that because of the Egyptian and other societies that used it.
Right. So a lot of... And most of the history from that part, there's not a lot of written documentation that has survived. And sadly, there was, from what we understand, a great deal of written record in the Greek era, but a lot of those were destroyed, between the Greeks and the Romans, and they fight. And so a lot of that knowledge has been lost, but there is a portion of it that still does exist. But from what we've been able to ascertain historically, astrology as we know it, the omen-based astrology really started somewhere in like the Sumeria, Babylonia, Egyptian kind of period and location, and sort of spread to different areas of the world from there.
Interesting. When we're going to go ahead and talk to Tracy and Renton, but I want to go on this path because I've got a lot of questions.
Okay, sure.
But I'm sure Tracy's got a question. Tracy?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Tracy.
We're great.
What's up?
All right. I've had my chart done, and I know...
It didn't hurt, did it?
What? No, it didn't at all. As a matter of fact, this was years and years ago at a little shop in the U District, if it's still there, called Astrology Etal.
Right, it is still there. Well, it's in Wallingford now, but in fact, I'm speaking there on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. I had my chart done, and I am a 39-year-old. I was born February 3rd, 1964.
Okay.
And I'm an Aquarius, and actually, I'm an Aquarius rising with a moon in Libra.
Wow, she knows her chart.
Huh?
You know your chart. That's amazing. Okay.
I do, and I kind of have it memorized because...
So you've been mooning a Libra? Is that what you said?
She's talking astrology.
If I was good looking enough, I probably would have.
I know Kevin's over here. His eyes are just big as...
He's like, what?
What is she talking about? We'll interpret that for you a little later,
You're gonna
Kevin.
have to explain to me the mooning
We
part.
definitely will. Oh, absolutely. Tracy's been mooning, so...
So what's your... My question is, with that information that I gave you, as far as like my rising sign and my moon sign and my sun sign, what can you tell me, if anything, about what the next year or a couple of years might have in store for me?
Oh, is that all? Is that all? Actually, this is a really good point to bring up. No, I'm sorry, I missed your Libra sign. I think we were or your rising sign. Sorry, I think we were talking and I missed that. So, what is your rising sign again?
I'm an Aquarius, and my rising sign is also Aquarius.
Oh, okay.
And my moon is in Libra.
And moon is in Libra. So we have a very airy kind of woman here. Both of those, all three of those signs, or those in your chart, happen to tie into the element of air, which gives her a lot of great intellect, a lot of communication skills. Mm-hmm. But in terms of forecasting, here's what we're going to talk about. Based off the information that you've given me, that is not enough information to really to answer your question of looking ahead for a year or two. There's a great deal of calculation, and unfortunately, my brain cannot do it. Usually, do it on the fly. It's for a client who would come to me, and let's say you called me, we set up a session, and it's like, Michael, I want to look at the next year or two. Is it doable with astrology? Absolutely, and it's very easily done. But it does take some preparation. So I would usually work on calculating charts. There's a lot of calculations and formula and math that my brain just simply can't do while we're live on the air. So there's usually about anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what somebody is looking for, of preparation work just in calculating all the charts.
Wow.
So that's one of that, and so it's I'm glad that you called and brought that up, because a lot of people don't really understand that's where the math and the science part comes into astrology, because in order to accurately forecast, with a really good accurate chart, we can say, okay, Tracy, in, September of 2003 or April 14th of 2004, here's going to be what's going on for you.
Right.
But to do that live on the air, we just don't simply have the time. It would be a lot of really dead airspace while I was doing a lot of really boring math.
That would be scary.
And Kevin and I kind of think that probably doesn't make for a very interesting show.
No, I imagine not.
And then it'd be all about Tracy anyway.
Exactly. It would just be about me.
Yes.
Do you happen to know, Tracy, what degree your sun or rising sign is at? Now, see, Kevin, his eyes are going again. So
I'm just kind of glazing over here.
I don't, not offhand. I don't remember.
Reason being, right now, one of the planet Neptune is currently going through the sign of Aquarius. So depending on how exactly it is or is not contacting those hot spots, let's call them, in your chart, the sun and the rising sign, you may be under a really great Neptunian influence right now. Now, Neptune is it can be a fabulous influence to be under. Neptune energy is very creative. It's very inspirational. There's a lot of spiritual, sort of intangible energy under Neptune.
Yeah.
So some of the things with Neptune, it has the tendency to dissolve things, to take them away. So some of our boundaries kind of go down. I've seen people they lose their jobs, they lose their relationship, they lose their money. Some of the tangible things in our life all of a sudden go away under Neptunian influences.
That is very interesting. When did that start?
Oh, well, gosh, Neptune's been in Aquarius for some time now. And
Really?
because it's one of the farther out planets, from our vantage point here on Earth, it seemingly moves very slowly through the sky. And one of the basic rules of astrology is the slower a planet moves, or the farther away it is from us, the more impact it actually has when it finally makes contact in our chart. Because those are the sorts of events that only happen once in a lifetime, maybe twice.
Wow.
As opposed to like the moon. The moon goes around the Earth every month. So when the moon makes contact, those are the things we're used to because they happen all the time.
Exactly.
But when these outer planets make a contact in the chart, you can expect something pretty major.
Wow.
So with a Neptunian, and again, depending on how exact or inexact that is for you right now, there can be very heightened spirituality, very heightened sensitivity. So you may even find yourself responding more sensitively to things that didn't bother you before. That can be anything from light sensitivity, food allergies, pet allergies, to more intuition, higher spiritual bumps. One of the difficult energies that sometimes people can experience with Neptune energy is also about escape. So it's very easy to find ourselves daydreaming a lot more. We sit on the couch a lot more watching TV or reading a book or, getting out of our day-to-day regular life.
Okay.
And anything that represents that detachment from regular life can fall under a Neptunian influence. So this can even be people who, I'm meditating 85 hours a day. Or, where we use spiritual connection as an escape hatch. Or we can use fantasy as an escape hatch. And people can also use other kinds of substances. Drugs and alcohol is also under the guise of Neptune because that Neptunian energy alters our perception of reality.
So how long is this guy going to be bothering us?
That's really, really interesting. That's interesting. Now, so that Neptune is going to affect every house that has Aquarius in it, basically, because I think I have Aquarius and Mars as well.
Well, let's take a look. You were February 3rd, right?
Yeah.
Let me take a quick look, and that is indeed true. In fact, let's see, Neptune is very close to your Mars. Mars was at 16 degrees of Aquarius when you were born. Neptune is currently at 12 degrees of Aquarius. So as it gets closer and closer to that exact place where Mars is, you may find your energy levels being really erratic. Because, again, Neptune tends to dissolve things away, right? And Mars is a planet that represents our physical energy.
Okay.
And so as Neptune gets closer, it can typically dissolve that energy. It can make you a little bit more scattered, where you find that, I just don't have the gumption to keep everything together. I'm losing my focus.
Okay.
It can be one of the ways that this particular...
I actually have that happen a lot.
Yeah. Well, and remember
that's almost a normal thing in my life.
Right, and
well,
remember
at least now you've got something to blame it on.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's my Mars, okay?
That's right. Well, now you know how to use it. And the thing to let you know, Neptune, because it moves so slowly, this particular connection between your Mars and Neptune is going to last. And this is not to scare you, but just to realize that this sets up a really wide window of time where that energy is going to ebb and flow more, like in the next 5-year period. Now it didn't just start. This has probably started about a year and a half ago for you, but it's going to continue in this window of kind of this roller coaster of energy for the next, probably 3 or 4 years until Neptune completely finishes its connection to Mars.
Okay.
That's not even counting what it's doing to your sun and your ascendant.
Okay. Well, now, so this
Slow down.
roller coaster effect, is it going to be just physical, like my own ability to stay focused, or, like sometimes I'll have the energy to get a goal finished, and then sometimes they won't? Is that sort of the scenario that it might imply? Okay.
Exactly. What you'll find is that your energy will start you'll have a lot more energy and a lot less energy. There's going to be a more erratic physical energy during this type of what we call a transit. Now, a transit is where a planet is right now in real time, like Neptune. How does it connect into your natal chart? That's called a transit. So during this transit window, you can find that Neptune is going to be messing with your physical energy a lot more. So you may find that you have a lot more energy, but you also have a lot less energy.
Okay, and that's just
at any
Mars
given time,
aspect of it.
right? So you'll just find that you probably will swing in a wider extreme than you've normally been used to in your life.
Wow. So that whole Neptune thing is going to be taking about 5 years to transit, basically?
That's correct. And you're already in it, okay? So that's the thing to realize is that 5-year window already started about a year and a half ago.
Isn't that something?
But because it lasts for so long, this isn't one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, tomorrow I'm going to get hit by a bus. It's not one of those sorts of things. It's a 5-year window. So we're setting up, so you're through that whole 5 years, you're going to have a lot of experiences with this Neptune. One of the other things that it does that I really see strongly just in looking at that connection, Mars is a planet of physical energy, right? He's the god of war. And he's where we get assertive. He's where we are asked to really get out and do something, to apply our energy to something physically. So when I see a Mars-Neptune connection like you have, one of the things I always tell people is that it's time for you to physically become active in pursuing a spiritual path.
Awesome.
Okay? It's not about being receptive. It's not about sitting back and meditating. It's not about going into all these little yoga things, because that's receptive energy. Mars is expressive energy. It's get out there and do something. Okay?
Wow. Okay.
And because Neptune is involved, it's coming through a spiritual channel. So then it is a matter of you getting physical to go do something to pursue spirituality, not sitting back and waiting for spirituality to come find you.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It does.
Good.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Michael.
It's great talking with you.
Tracy, thank you for calling.
Oh, of course. And I just love your show. I'm still listening every day.
Oh, thank you very
Excellent.
much. And I'll have a little announcement for you a little bit later. If you want to get out and really do something, I've got a proposition for you that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Cool.
So keep on listening. I think she
she's
went away. Yes, she did.
So, all right. So now there's
right.
a little example. So let's kind of break that down.
We got a ton of stuff to tell. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So she was mooning Libra. And her house is in...
And boy, did Libra enjoy it. No. So, okay, there's a perfect example. Most people are familiar with what we call their sun sign. All that means is that the sign of the zodiac that the sun was in on the day you were born. So somebody comes up to you, at the store or at a club or something, and they say, hey, baby, what's your sign? All that means is the sun was in whatever sign. So what's your sign, Kevin?
I'm a Virgo.
You're a Virgo.
Guess what my birthday was?
So that means that the sun was in the sign of Virgo on the day you were born. That's all that means. Okay. And that's what most people are familiar with. When we start getting into real astrology, we don't use just the sun as the only planet in the solar system, right? So the moon is another planet we use, and the moon was somewhere in the zodiac. So maybe your sun is in Virgo, your moon could be in Taurus, your moon could be in Aries, your moon could be anywhere. We also use Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn. We use all the planets in the solar system. Each one of those could be in any one of the 12 signs of the zodiac.
And each means a different thing.
Each means a different thing, and this is why when people say, well, astrology just lumps you into one of 12 groups, that's not true. Each one of us has every single sign of the zodiac somewhere in our charts. So each one of us, somewhere in our chart, has Virgo. We all have Aries. We all have Scorpio. We all have Libra. And depending on if there are planets in those areas or not, depending on where those areas fall in the chart, those particular signs may be emphasized or de-emphasized. So that's why someone will meet somebody, they'll say, well, I'm a Libra. You don't seem like a Libra. You seem like a Scorpio. Well, maybe that person has a lot of Scorpio emphasis in their chart.
No,
does that make sense for you?
Yeah. Now, could that be because that their birthday was closer to the cutoff date between the two signs?
What we call the cusp.
The cusp. Very good.
People that are born close to a cusp or close to the changeover date, or the date of change in our calendar usually falls somewhere around the 20th, 21st, 22nd of each month. The sun will move into a different sign. So people that are born on the cusp, I was born on the cusp between Scorpio and Sag, those people will typically exhibit characteristics of both signs if those characteristics are actually emphasized.
And that's why when you look at just a sun sign,
it means nothing.
I'm right, a Virgo, and Virgos are supposed to be neat freaks and have a particular set. And
right, and you're clearly not.
Yeah. Look at my car. Look at my house. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
But that's because of other factors.
Correct. So to look at a chart, for listeners who maybe have never seen an astrological chart, they don't even know what it looks like. One of the ways that we can help you visualize it, the chart itself is circular. So I tell people, imagine the face of a clock, because a clock is a circle broken into 12 different sections. An astrological chart is exactly the same thing. It's a circle broken into 12 different sections. Each section is referred to as a house. Most people have probably heard that term. The third house, the moon is in the seventh house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars. The age of Aquarius.
The fifth dimension did that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, if you really look at that astrologically, it's not that rare of an event. So, big deal. So we'll write a song about it. But so for you, for that Virgo, depending on which house that your sun, your Virgo sun falls in, may emphasize or de-emphasize the characteristics of that Virgo for you. So even though you are a Virgo, you may not seem like a Virgo because other areas are more active for you. So you may come across differently as maybe a Leo or a Gemini or a Taurus. And without looking at the entire chart, that's what a real astrologer will do, is look at the entire chart with all of those variables, which is what makes us each individual astrologically. It doesn't lump us into, one of 12 groups.
Because then you can really get it down to the day and time of your birth, to where all of these factors are in play.
Exactly.
Can create a completely different look of who you really are.
Exactly.
Based upon all that.
Based on the time you were born, obviously the date you were born,
right,
and the place you were born. Which is why you can have two people born on exactly the same day. Let's say February 3rd, 1964. Thanks, Tracy, for the date. But you can have let's say one person was born in Miami on that date, and one person was born in Seattle on that date. The difference in location will significantly alter their astrological charts, which is why when people say, well, I was born on the same day as so-and-so, and, I was born like the day after Madonna. Okay. And Madonna and I, so not similar, obviously.
Right.
Okay. I mean, granted, she's much older than I am.
Yes,
but,
she
but
is.
as an example, people say, well, I was born on the same day as so-and-so. Why are they famous and why am I not? Well, there are so many factors that go into that. Location of birth being one of those.
And so it could be change the entire factors.
Change the entire thing.
So this has been something that's been going on for thousands of years,
right,
and they've been developing it, and it's very old. But who made it up? Where did that come from? Do we have any idea?
Know. We really don't know. As far as we can go back historically, we do know that after the agrarian societies started, growing into more of a political arena where we started having kings and dukes and lords and all of that stuff, that as omen-based astrology started coming into practice. So this isn't just looking at the stars to know when to plant your crops. This is looking at the stars saying, oh, when Mars is in this particular place in the sky, that emphasizes that we are going to war. Or when Jupiter is in a certain place in the sky, that symbolizes the birth of a new king. This is the sort of thing that we started seeing develop, what we call omen-based astrology, that the location of the planets in the sky actually tied into events here on Earth. And that's how the astrology that we understand it, started developing. Now, who exactly developed it, we don't know. We do know that every culture on the planet is somehow looking at the sky at some point in their development. So I think it was just one of those things that came from a mishmash of everybody's cultures.
Now, is it continuing to develop, or is it kind of what it is and there it is?
No, it is absolutely beginning to develop. For instance, when was Pluto discovered? Right, it was in the 40s.
Good point. Yeah.
People back in the 1700s didn't, although they did suspect that Pluto existed. Isn't that interesting? Astrologers thought years before they found Pluto that Pluto was actually out there somewhere. But some of the outer planets, the planets that are not visible with the naked eye, people in the 1500s had no clue about Neptune, no clue about Uranus. So as new planets and asteroids are discovered, part of the thing of astrology is sort of looking at those and going, okay, now how do we incorporate that, or do we?
Interesting. Now, is there like an astrology group that gets together to make these decisions? How does that work?
There are organizations all over the world. Some of them are devoted specifically to research. Some of them are devoted specifically to historical research. Let's go back as far as we can in history and find out everything we possibly can. There are other groups dedicated to current research, with asteroids and space bodies and deep space stuff being discovered all the time. Quite honestly, that's way more than I can deal with. It's like, you guys go and do that. Let me know what you find. I'm busy.
When you get back to it, get back to it.
So there are lots of areas of study going on with astrology in terms of what is going on with it.
Now, I'm gonna throw a little bit of a wrench in it when we come back, because I want to talk about if you are a certain way based upon where you were born, the date you were born. Does that mean that you picked that before you got here?
Ooh.
We'll be back. All right, we are back with Michael Poulson, and he is an astrologer. If you would like to talk to Michael about your stuff, you can do that right now, 425-373-5527, or from an outlining area, 888-298-5569. You're listening to the Kevin McDonald Show, Positive Talk in the afternoon, right here on KKNW, 1150 AM. And Michael, we went into the break, and I wanted to ask you.
You were getting your wrench out.
Yes, I am, because as I understand it, the way astrology works, they can pin you pretty much down to the day, time that you were born, and so forth.
Right.
And they're pretty accurate with that. Is that not?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, there is one of the things that I do, as a matter of fact, and a lot of astrologers are able to do it for people who don't know their birth time. Maybe it wasn't recorded. Maybe the family didn't pay attention. Maybe the birth certificate is destroyed. There's actually a technique called rectification, which is a big, long word. All that means is we're going to fix your chart. Looking at a list of events in your life, we can actually backtrack your chart to discover the time you were born in order for those events to have happened when they did.
You're kidding.
Isn't that bizarre?
So does that mean...
So, here we go.
Yeah.
I know the next question.
Does that mean, because that's a fascinating idea,
right,
that if you were, before you were born, and you set out a life plan to include events, personality traits, things you wanted to accomplish, all of those things, that picking the day, the hour, and the place of your birth would be an important piece of that?
Absolutely. I believe that is true. There are various schools of thought, even among astrologers. Those that say, oh, you're just born when you're born, and there's the chart you get, and this is... But part of that is, when you come into this, there are parts of the chart that we look for or that we examine when I'm preparing to see a client, for example. There are certain things in the chart you look for that show what this person came into this life with. We all show up here with our little toolbox. Now, where do we get... we all have this knowledge, and we all have these ideas, and we all have these feelings, but where did they come from? Because, a lot of those we brought in with us. So certainly before we arrived, I think that we probably did, in fact, choose the date and time and place that we were going to be born in order to live out this chart, to live out the potential that our natal birth chart will show. Now, we get the people that argue and say, well, what about people with induced birth? Or what about people with cesarean section, where it's not natural at all? Do we know? I'm not really sure. What I do know is we still run charts for that time of birth. The cesarean section, it's like, okay, the time that child enters the world is the chart that they're going to live out this world under. Did they choose to do that or not? I don't know if we can answer that.
But it would affect...
But what I have seen is that people born under that that condition, let's call it, their chart still plays out just like you would expect it to.
And so it can be accurate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, what normally shows up under things like that, where people have extremely difficult births or maybe there was something unusual, that will actually show up in the chart. Your natal chart will indicate that there might have been some type of trauma or some type of certain environmental conditions surrounding your actual birth.
And you can pick that up in a chart that you will make somebody.
Absolutely.
And you can look at it and backtrack it and
Yes, you can.
And say these circumstances are around
what was
birth.
going on around, we'll see a lot of sometimes, with Neptune. Neptune, again, is the planet that rules drugs. If we see Neptune around the area of the chart that talks about the birth moment, like, what was mom on when you were born? Maybe she was on any number of things. But there can be indicators. Now, again, this is one of the things astrology can do well, but it's also one of its shortcomings, is because we know that there was some type of, let's use that same analogy, perhaps there was some type of drug involved around the time of your birth, but we have no idea if that was, what is that little spinal cord shot they give you? Epidural? Epidural?
Yeah, epidural.
We don't know, was it an epidural or was mom strung out on crack? We don't know. We know that there was a drug involved. But so this is where astrology, this is where the line between fatalism of astrology, do we have a choice, do we have any control, and human free choice, human free agency. This is the line that I think astrology does very well. It shows the condition of any given moment in a person's life, but it's up to us to choose how that condition actually manifests itself.
Because that was, you short-circuited another question, because I was gonna ask you, if your chart is indicative of your life path, then that would eliminate a little bit of free will, or can you defeat your chart? Can you go against it?
I don't think you can go against it. I do believe that you have every single choice of how you respond to the events that your chart indicates are going to happen. For example, let's say that there are certain things in life that all of us are going to experience regardless of what our life path is. We all experience joy. We all experience sorrow. We all experience the death of someone we love. Those are just standard human conditions. At one point in our life, we will all do it. The free choice comes into how do we choose to respond to those events.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's where free choice comes into it, and this is where, going back to the very beginning, where you cannot call astrology a science, because by definition, a science, you get the same exact result every single time you do the same thing. Science can never take under consideration free human choice. So in terms of the actual structured definition of science, I don't think astrology will ever fit in, because there's that variable that can never be, scientifically structured. We always have that choice to alter how we respond and sort of alter the path that our chart is going to lead us down.
Isn't that interesting? And so it can change, but it's still the same. Now, you've been doing this for how long?
I actually counted this before I came on, so I wouldn't freeze like this. I believe it's been 13 or 14 years now.
And where can somebody call you to...
Oh, thank you. It's
welcome.
The plug time, yes.
Yeah.
If you would like more information, you can call me at 206-320-1249. You can email me at twister@oz.net. Oh, yeah. Or you can go to my website, www.michaelpoulson. That's MichaelPoulsen.com.
And that will get them to you.
That will get you to me.
You would like, how much advance notice do you need to put the chart together?
Oh, usually right now, appointments are usually available, not same week, but usually a week or two out.
And
so
what information should they gather to get to you?
To book an appointment, I need your date, place, and exact time of birth. Exact time is very important.
Where do you get that?
Usually out of family records, birth certificates, hospital records. Those are really good places to start.
Great. We've got a lot to do in the second hour. If you want to give us a call, do it. 425-373-5527 or the toll-free number. I'll give you that after the news. We'll be back. All right. We are back for hour number 2. And Michael Poulson is going to be here the whole time. Michael, whatever your name is.
Poulson would be.
Poulson.
That'll work.
I lost you. You're here somewhere.
Here
you
I
are. Is Pat a relative?
No.
Oh.
But I was asked that once.
Were you by some other idiot?
By some other... No. by somebody on a plane whose departure I was the sole person that made late. I was really popular.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I've been there, and I've given you that stare as you're going down the aisle.
Well, that's how he knew who I was. He's like, are you that Poulson guy? They were announcing your name for like 10 minutes. You related to Pat? I was like, oh, kill me now. There was a near-death experience right there. I need to get to a cave right this moment.
Absolutely. I got a couple of pieces of business that we have to clear up, and then we are going to get to the calls, and we are going to talk about astrology for the whole second hour.
Woo!
At the P&G Speakeasy Cafe tonight, Kim Miller is doing a forum, and that is in Duval, and it starts at 7 o'clock. It's $15 to get in. Go have dinner. Paula is doing a fabulous dinner beforehand. There'll be specials. There'll be coffee. It's a great environment up in Duval, so I highly encourage you to go see Kim Miller tonight, 7 o'clock, in Duval at the P&G Speakeasy Cafe. In addition to that, if you would like to donate some time to the good cause of keeping your friends and me on the air and happy, you can do so. And this is kind of for Tracy in Renton, who is supposed to get out and do something spiritually motivated and get on your feet and get moving,
active.
Girl. Get active. You can give Darla a call. Darla works with me at 425-788-3699. That's 425-788-3699. And she will talk to you about how you can help keep Positive Talk in the afternoon positive.
In the afternoon.
Positively still in the afternoon.
And not relegated
to midnight.
Positive Talk at 3 in the bloody morning.
Exactly. Or back on the internet and all that kind of stuff. Because we want to stay here.
Yeah, we do.
And we've got a lot of stuff to contribute yet. So now Drew is from Bellevue. And Drew has been hanging around through the break and everything. So,
a lot of stuff to contribute.
And he must want to talk to Michael. But Drew, you need to turn your radio down. And then, did you get it, Drew?
Yes, it's off.
Ah, perfect. And here is Michael.
Hi, Drew. What's up?
Hi, Michael. I'm so fascinated by this science and art, and I have a question. If I give you my birth date, just whatever you can extract from the ethers about what's up with me.
Okay. Let's see how etherish I can go.
Okay.
What's your date, Drew?
It's October 23rd, 1949 at 12:01 a.m.
October 23rd, you say?
Yes.
Of 49.
Correct.
Let me turn to the page of the magic book. See, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way, on paper. Can you believe it?
Yeah, he doesn't have his computer here.
That's right. It makes it so much easier. 23rd, you said, Drew?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Let me just take a quickie peek here and see what's going on. And Kevin, you fill up the dead space. Oh, we already got it. Drew, you're undergoing some major transformation, aren't you?
It's true, Michael. It's very true.
You're undergoing some big time transformation. I'll tell you what's going to transpire. The reason that I say that, you're getting a visit from our friend Pluto, who Eric was doing a really great impression of during the break.
Yes,
not the Disney dog, Drew. Pluto is being the farthest planet in our solar system from us. It is known astrologically as the planet of transformation. A lot of easy breezy astrology will relate Pluto and the energy of Pluto to Darth Vader. Remember him from Star Wars? That's the one. And the way that we tie this into Darth Vader is because this is the type of transformational energy that comes when Pluto connects into our chart. It's the thing of, how easily did Darth Vader give up on his pursuit of anything?
Look.
Never.
Yeah.
We have a saying in astrology, Pluto always wins.
It's a roll.
And the reason that I say that to you is that the things that are changing in your life, when Pluto comes to connect into your chart, it is an extremely transformational time. And usually the thing that Pluto forces us into, and it's typically, Pluto mythologically is the god of the underworld. So many times a visit from Pluto can feel literally like going to hell. Everything goes absolutely rock bottom. We feel that everything we cling to for stability in our life is being taken away from us.
Yep.
But the thing to remember with Pluto, not only is he the god of the underworld, but this energy of transformation is much like the phoenix. You know the story of the phoenix, right? Rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
The fun part of Pluto is you got to make the ashes first. So things tend to get a little toasty. But the ultimate goal is that it's taking away the things in life that are no longer serving you in order to make room for you to rise from the ashes and create something new.
Okay.
And remember that Pluto always wins. So what you can do is the things in your life that are approaching closure, that are approaching even a death, quote unquote, the ending and new beginning concept of death, not physical death.
Hugely.
But let them go. Release them, because Pluto will win. And all he's asking you to do is come along peacefully. He's like, Joe Friday's like, you going to come along peacefully, or do I have to muss you up? And remember, Pluto always wins. So we can make Pluto connections as difficult and painful as we want them to be, or we can make them as easy as we want them to be.
So what I'm hearing you say is Pluto's in charge. Is Pluto on my side? It doesn't feel like it.
It never does. Darth Vader is never on our side. The thing that I can tell you is after a Plutonian transit, what I tell people, a really good analogy of this transformational energy of Pluto. Pluto takes a long time to change us. And one of the really good analogies is you've seen pictures of, like the Arches National Park and those gorgeous arches down in the Red Rock deserts.
Mm-hmm.
Those didn't happen with a flash flood overnight. Right? Those took a little bit of water over thousands of years. And it's the same way with the Pluto connection. It's not like one grand event happens that changes us forever. It's that a little bit erodes away, and from day to day, it feels like hell because there's not a lot of stuff changing. But at the end of a period of sometimes even several years, you look back over the path that you traveled, and you're amazed at the changes that have taken place, even though you don't notice them on a day-to-day basis.
Feels like this has been going on a long time. Is this going to go on a lot longer?
Let's take a quick look at that for you.
So the changes that you've felt like you've been going through, how long do you think that you feel like you've been going through them?
Wow. Well, in one sense, since birth. In another sense, maybe the last 15 years.
There you go.
Years.
We're talking a Pluto transit. The nice thing, I don't know if it's not, the good thing I can tell you is that Pluto, because Pluto does move so slowly, it's one of the planets that we call a generational planet, meaning that everybody born within 10 or 12 years of each other will all have Pluto in the same sign. It may be at different degrees, but what it does is it sort of gives misery loves company. So people born anywhere near your same date of birth are all undergoing the same effect from Pluto, which is kind of a nice thing. And the thing that I can tell you is that, yes, it does seem to be wrapping up. The Pluto connection for you, planets, oh no, here's a whole other hour, Kevin. Planets in their movement, as we watch them from our vantage point here on Earth, occasionally we get this weird phenomenon called a retrograde, where the planet will actually appear to be going backwards in its orbit because, we're also moving through space. And so what I liken it to is if you're driving a car and you see a bicyclist on the side of the road and you're going to pass the bicyclist, there's that brief moment where right when you pass them, they sort of appear to be going backwards.
Yeah.
The same phenomenon occurs astrologically. And so as we watch the planets in the sky, they'll be moving forward, and then all of a sudden they stop and they start moving backward for a little bit. And then they'll stop and move forward again. Pluto is renowned for this, as is Mercury. In fact, all the planets except the moon and the sun. Anyway, point being, the reason that I explain that is that Pluto, for you in your chart, Pluto in real-time motion has been going back and forth, and it feels like it sort of, the analogy is it turns you into the speed bump in the parking lot of the supermarket of life, is what it can feel like. It's like, okay, it just ran over me. Oh, now it's going into reverse. It's coming back. Oh, now it's going forward. It's running over me again. And so it can be very, very trying. But again, it's every time that happens, it's another little piece that needs to change so that the ultimate transformation, which can take years and years in some cases, can actually take place.
That could make someone feel like Eeyore.
Could.
That dark cloud on the...
But the other thing with Pluto, too, because it's transformational energy, it's about power. Pluto, astrologically, is our little nuclear power core. Okay, it's where we draw all of our power from. And power is such we use that term all the time. We gave away your power. You're asserting your power. But anytime Pluto plugs into our chart, somehow we are being challenged to give up or reclaim, in many cases, our power. So we go through these experiences with Pluto, experiences of somebody else's power is interfering with mine. I'm giving my power to somebody else. It's, these power struggles, power plays, authority issues. It's usually a time when Pluto comes and says, here's where you need to connect with your power and reclaim it and claim the responsibility for that instead of not.
So is there anything in particular, and maybe you just answered this question, that I can do to facilitate most peaceful and effective outcome to this process? It's a huge process.
It is. You're having some help come up pretty darn soon. From Uncle Saturn. Saturn is coming to the rescue in a little bit. Not quite yet, but later this year. And so really you are in the final phase of this huge transformational thing. And I would actually love to talk to Drew at some point to find out all about this, because I'm sure it's very interesting. I mean, people don't go through things like this and come out boring on the other end. They just never do. But the reason that I say that Saturn is actually going to be moving into the sign of Cancer a little bit later this year, and that's going to be giving you a lot of support, because Saturn is a planet of structure and manifestation, and when he starts plugging into your chart, that's when we actually see the concrete evidence for all the stuff that's been going on in the background. So the thing I can tell you in the meantime is to get comfortable with letting things go that don't need to be there anymore.
Wow.
And when Saturn, later on in this year, when Saturn kind of comes to your aid, and even probably for you more closely around the turn of the year, will be when you start to see the physical manifestations, the proof of what it is you've been going through. Why have I been going through that? Those answers are coming for you.
So sort of living on the edge, I can plan on that until the turn of the year?
Right.
Is what I'm hearing you say?
Exactly. And just get used to letting go of the things that are no longer serving you.
Wow.
Because Pluto energy is about taking those away. Now, it's sort of like, are you going to give it over freely and painlessly, or are you going to cling to those things with every fiber until Pluto rips them from your hands?
Drew, and let me interject,
please.
because I'm just struck. Drew, do you like to control? Do you control stuff? Do you like to keep things orderly and in control?
What I like is a relative amount of peace, harmony, and universal truth.
Could it be that part of the lesson for you in this life is to learn to let things go and to go with the flow, maybe? I don't know. This is just the amateur version.
Yeah.
He's doing intuitive astrology over here.
Just a thought, because there's got to be a reason that you were born when you were born to go through this the way you're going through it. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's happenstance. So maybe it's something that you plan for to learn from.
Well, it would be good for me to tune in to the dynamics of whatever that preempting might have been prior to incarnation in this particular Earth plane, I suspect.
But you said.
But here you are. No, and I kind of get what he's talking about. But But here you are. So what is it that you are going to do with it? And it's basically a thing of you're on the ride. Okay, the seatbelt's fastened and the plane is pulled away from the gate, and so
tray
at this
table's
point,
up and locked.
Exactly. So it really is a matter of having the courage, number one, because Pluto is about fear, and so one of the things is, what are the fears that are coming up for you, and acknowledging them as fear, but allowing yourself to move past that and go, you know what? Even though I'm afraid of X, whatever. Pluto and the changes that Pluto brings have a lot to do. Humans don't like change. We just don't. And Pluto brings out the biggest changes ever for us. And so part of Pluto's job for us is to help us to address our fears. Why is it I'm afraid to change? Why is it I'm afraid to let that thing go? And Pluto's saying, I'm taking it anyway, so get used to it. And so we can either then, so let's just think about it in terms of the concept of death. The ending of something that's no longer serving us. We can sit there and grieve and moan forever, for the rest of our life, or we can say, you know what, that experience or that relationship or that whatever served its purpose, and for that I honor it, and now I'm letting it go so I can also move on. And that's really ultimately what Pluto lessons are about.
It feels like there's a level of maturation that is required for me in this process.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's about you getting comfortable with, not only getting comfortable with your power, but also learning to apply it and use it in a beneficial way. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily, even as Kevin alluded to, in a controlling fashion. You happen to have Pluto in the sign of Leo, and you actually have Mars connected in Leo to that Pluto. So Pluto and Mars can sometimes be, you have a couple of different choices in how you express that particular configuration. This can be the steadfast warrior who goes out and fights the good fight for truth, justice, and the American way, and all of the big capital letter, big picture things. It can also be the tyrant. I'm in charge I have the control, I have the power. The Mars is saying, I'm going to make you do this, and we can do this to ourselves, we can do it to the people around us. So it's you have an extremely strong power center. It's how you're choosing, how you have chosen, and how you continue to choose to use that.
So I can either be a monster or a sweet little Buddha, huh?
You got it.
Oh, my.
Pretty much.
Choose the Buddha, he's nicer.
Yes.
And I suppose the power is still there with the Buddha, even though it's not quite as overt or measurable necessarily as the monster.
It's not as demonstrative, let's put it that way. Isn't that a good word? You want to learn to express it in a beneficial way for you and those around you. What that can do, that Pluto-Mars connection that you have in your natal chart can be very intimidating. It can also be very comforting. And it's your choice into how you express that.
Well, I'm very impressed with how you've zeroed in on dynamics and sort of confronted any denial I might have had about what
Drew,
I'm about on many levels.
Well,
Right.
Drew, it sounds to me like you need to write this number down. Michael, how can he get a hold of you?
206-320-1249.
And you can get the complete chart done, and you can sit down with Michael and go
dig
over
deep.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's 206-32.
0
Yeah.
1249.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
Drew,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Have a great day. Why don't we? I've got so much the stuff came out of that call that we have to talk about. But first, let's go ahead and take this break, and then we'll be right back. But so are you.
Well, thank you, sir.
And you're doing a marvelous thing with the things that you do with astrology. So I want to ask some questions about it.
Go.
There are a lot of people that say that they are astrologers
Okay.
out there. How does someone pick a good one from a not so good one?
That's one of the things you want to look for. That's a very good question. Shopping for astrologers. You want to, first of all, any astrologer worth their merit is going to take time to interview. If you want to call them and interview them about what it is they do, what to expect, any astrologer that is serious about what they do and good at what they do will do that with no problem. You want to ask them about if they have any kind of certification. There are several different groups that certify, which means that astrologers will go through a certain training process. They're able to pass competency levels. So even though astrology is not a regulated industry, like we would think other types of industries are, there are, it's a self-regulated industry, so you can find quality astrologers. Now, that's not to say that if someone is not certified, that they're not a good astrologer. That doesn't mean that, but that is one of the ways that you can check. If you're just starting at square one and you're flipping through the yellow pages, that can be pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
So I usually say, talk to the person before you go in. A lot of astrologers will, do lectures or public appearances, so it's a really great way to meet them and sort of get the energy from them when you meet them. Or word of mouth is always fabulous. That's how, I've gotten a lot of my people. Clients tell, I went to see Michael, you've got to go see him, and so on. And they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on.
Do you find that, unlike, like Miss Leo or Cleo or whatever she was called?
Call me now.
Yeah. Are the ethics amongst astrologers very high?
Yes. There are very high ethics. In fact, there is one of the national organizations that has actually put together a list of ethical guidelines for astrologers to follow, and it's pretty impressive in terms of client confidentiality and appropriate client behavior and professional behavior. And so you want to be able to find an ethical astrologer, absolutely. And again, a lot of that, a forthcoming astrologer will be very upfront with that. Mm-hmm. I know I am with my clients. When people call me, it's like, this is what you get.
When you go do a reading, then, and it takes several hours for you to put a reading together, to
Right.
put a chart together, not a reading, a real chart, and to
Correct.
do it, right?
Right.
So given that, what's a reasonable amount? Give me a range of what somebody can expect to pay.
I think that most people to see a professional astrologer should expect to pay most astrologers will hold a session for either an hour, hour and a half. Some of them will even do a half hour. So again, depending on the time limit, that may affect the pricing as well. So for a half hour, you may find yourself paying $30 or $40. But for a general hour to hour and a half session, which is pretty standard, you will find maybe people starting out in the $40 to $50 range if they're just starting their practice, or if they're just beginning. $40 to $50, you can pay all the way up to maybe $200, $250. Those are going to be your astrologers that are the famous ones.
Okay.
Mostly on average, especially in the Northwest, an average price is going to be somewhere around $80, $85, $90.
And if you have your chart done once, do you need to do it again?
Yes, absolutely. And here's what you can do. The first session, usually the astrologer will do what's called a natal chart or your birth chart. That gives you information about your personality, your characteristics, your personality traits. What are your strengths and talents? What are your challenges, your obstacles? Just sort of your behavioral makeup, your hardwiring, if you will. Then following appointments, you check in. It's just like going back to your dentist every 6 months. I usually see people every 6 months or every year, and we just talk about what's going on right now. Astrology, ultimately, if you want to bottom line it, is a study of cycles. And so you want to check in with those cycles and those rhythms in terms of where are you? Are you just at the beginning of something that's going to be pretty transformative? Are you just at the end of it? Where are you on all of those different cycles, and what is the timing that's going to take place? The phrase I use is timing is everything. So people can come to me and we say, oh, it looks like there's this little rocky period, but it's only going to last for 3 weeks. Or looks like there's some really great stuff. You've got a super window of 5 months to really move ahead in, whether it's career, finances, marriage, relationships, what have you. So that's what you can expect from a personal astrological reading. But there's a lot of other services people don't know about that astrology can do, that you don't always have to do, even like we've done here on the show, of really getting into the heavy, deep stuff. Astrology is a fabulous timing device. So I always remind people, if you're making a major decision in your life, if you're going to plan a wedding, if you're going to open a business, you want to do those sorts of things under an auspicious occasion, right? So I help people time. I choose good dates for people. This is a great day for you to get married. This is a great day for you to sell a house or buy a house. So just anything that requires timing or calendar planning. Of course, everybody wants to know about relationships. So we do a lot of compatibility work. If people are interested in a person, it's like you do the two charts together. Where do these people mesh? Where do they not mesh? The big thing with relationship astrology, especially that I'm pretty strong about, is that you can be in any relationship you want. I usually don't see people if they come to me and say, is this the right one or not? It's like, I don't know, that's up to you. What I can tell you is here's going to be the easy stuff, and here's going to be the hard stuff. It's up to you to decide if it's worth it. Okay, so that's another way that people can use astrology. There's several specialized branches. One deals in world events, so looking at politics and wars and things like that, which isn't one that I spend a lot of time with. Financial astrology, predicting the stock market, is actually one of the top uses and top most accepted uses of astrology.
You and I need to talk after the show.
You got it. And then one that I actually specialize in, which is one of those hard words to say, I hate it, it's called horary astrology, Horary, horary, which means of the hour. This branch of astrology specializes in answering specific questions. So we use it a lot for lost items, missing pets, that sort of thing. When you just have one question, I just need to know the answer to this question, astrology can help. It doesn't always have to be this big unfolding of the spirit or the personality, although that's what most people find very helpful. There are other things that astrology can be used for as well.
So once you find a good astrologer who you mesh with,
yes,
and you can treat them as an advisor.
Absolutely.
In all the things, and because you have all the documentation.
Forewarned is forearmed.
Okay,
so if you know that a difficult period is coming up, and we can sort of isolate what arenas in life that might be showing up in, you get to go in with the information already at hand. You can then become proactive in your own life, starting to prepare and be ready for things, as opposed to being reactive. When something happens and you find yourself in the middle of it and, oh no, how am I going to cope with this? You can prepare yourself ahead of time if you know what's coming down the pike.
Absolutely. Well, let's find out if Tina from Duval is proactive or reactive. Tina?
Hi, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm proactive.
Okay, good.
That's good to hear,
I
Tina.
believe.
What's up?
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
I had a mini chart done about a month ago, and I gave the person the wrong birth time. And I'm wondering if you can recheck my chart. She told me I was in Neptune, which I don't really feel like I am.
She told you you were a Neptune?
No, in Neptune.
That
like
you
I
were
was having a Neptune time.
You were having a Neptune transit.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That we can check because I was
Just
like,
a Neptune of a good time.
you're a Neptune. I can say, no, right now you're not. Neptune is a planet. But anyway, what's your birth date, hon?
It's 12/15/67.
12/15/67.
You're just a kid.
Yep, just a baby. And born in Seattle at 8:30 p.m.
Okay, well, we're not going to run the full chart on you,
Okay.
but I can definitely take a look at what's going on with your Neptune situation
Okay.
right now.
1967, Sergeant Pepper came out. I'm sorry. You ready? Okay, good.
I'm already ready already.
Oh, wow. I don't have to do that. Good.
And when did you have this chart done? That you were asking about the little mini reading where
Yeah,
she
it
said
was
you
at
were
the
in
Women's
Neptune?
of Wisdom conference, and I think that was in the early March.
Oh, so just relative. I mean, it wasn't like a year ago
No,
or something
no,
like
it was
that.
just about a month and a half ago or so.
And she said that you were in Neptune?
Yeah, and we had about 5 minutes, and I told her I was born at 8:30 in the morning, which I was wrong. I had to check with my mom.
Okay, that really wouldn't make a difference in
Okay.
terms of what we're talking about. Unless did she happen to tell you what your rising sign was that she thought it was?
She did, but I can't remember.
Okay, that would be the only factor that may change. The rising sign, which is the sign of the zodiac that was on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth,
Okay.
i.e. rising, like the sun rises, okay, the zodiac also rises. That sign on the ascendant is what it's called, or the rising sign changes every 2 hours.
Okay.
So if by giving by giving wrong birth information, that would be the one location that may change, and depending on what it actually is correctly, you may or may not be having a Neptune transit there at that place. Everything else in your chart, given that time, there really is not any connection. There's no Neptune transit hitting anywhere else in your chart.
Okay.
So unless the ascendant changed because of that birth time, that would be the only possibility. Okay?
Yeah, because she explained it as being kind of a wishy-washy time and kind of a dreamy.
Dreamy, that is very Neptune.
Okay.
That
and
is
I
very Neptune, but again, it's not really connecting it to any of your planets right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it's at that ascendant point, which is determined solely by the time of birth and by the correct time of birth, which is why we're always adamant to get that right, that would be the only connection, the only possible connection from Neptune for you right now.
Okay, and you can't see that.
Not right offhand.
Okay.
Because I just don't have the time to calculate that.
Oh, I see. All right. And so I do have a question.
Sure.
I am thinking about moving my business out of my home and moving it into a closer location. I'm kind of out in the boonies and want to get closer to town. And I'm thinking about doing it over the summer and being ready in the fall. Would that be a good time?
You're
for
moving
me?
it out of your home or into your home?
Out of my home. So right now I'm operating out of my home.
Okay. And what's the impetus for you to want to move?
To get closer to customers and then also have it so it's more customer friendly where they don't have to come through my house.
Is it is it a walk-in business?
Well, I teach pottery classes, so I'm teaching classes out of my house right now, and then I'm also making everything here in my house.
Okay. To answer that more specifically, I'd love to take a look at your chart. However, I can tell you something in general right now, and we actually mentioned this during Drew's session, is that when Saturn is moving into the sign of Cancer later this year, in fact, it's in June, I think, is when that happens.
Okay.
When Saturn moves into Cancer, Cancer is the sign of the home.
Okay.
Okay. So and Saturn is about manifestation, and it's actually about work. It's where we find ourselves having to work a lot.
Okay.
So in general, again, this may change a little bit looking at your specific chart, but with Saturn moving into the home, I would be, as well as other factors that are going on with the economy and whatnot, I would be a little hesitant to have you increase your business expenses right now.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
And Saturn in Cancer is actually not bad for home-based businesses.
Okay, good.
It's bad for hospitality businesses, I'm sorry to say. But for home-based, I'd hold off a little bit on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
Anything
Thank you,
else?
Michael. That's it.
Okay, thank
Tina,
you.
thank you so much for calling.
Bye. See you tonight, Kevin.
See you tonight. And what she's talking about is at Duval, Kim Miller's going to be there at the P&G Speakeasy Cafe.
That's right.
At 7 o'clock.
While we're doing plugs, I have a plug.
Yes, please.
On Saturday, and I'm so upset because it's at the same time as that really cool near-death thing.
Oh.
But I'll be giving a workshop at Astrology et al. In Wallingford, and this is on Saturday, 1 o'clock, called Get a Real Job. Using astrology as a career guide, looking at your natal chart and what's going on in terms of if you need help with work, that's what we're talking about.
How long does it take you to put a chart like that together? Can you do that on the fly, or do you get your computer out and do all that stuff?
That is some. We want pretty accurate calculations on that. So we want a full chart because there are several different places in the chart that we look at. So I always want to be as specific as I can because that's going to make me more accurate for you.
So the idea is to. Let me ask you then. I'm changing my question.
Okay.
In midstream.
You can do.
If you go to someone on a regular basis as an astrologer, is there the danger that you could start allowing what you're being told to rule you?
You get addicted. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
There's always that potentiality, which is one of the reasons that I don't, and most astrologers, again, this is one of those judgment calls that you're making. Many astrologers won't see clients on an ongoing basis, like every week. Okay, if you need to see an astrologer every week, you're in the wrong practice. You need to be seeing somebody else. Astrology, based on timing and events and cycles, really is like once or twice a year is plenty of time to see your astrologer. And any astrologer who wants to see you more often, I would be cautious of. And any client, or if someone called me and says I want to come in for weekly checkup, I won't do that. You don't need to. You may need to go see someone else for other types of counseling, but astrology is not the practice that would work well with that type of situation.
So, in your opinion, if an astrologer were to tell any one of our listeners that you need to come see me on a weekly basis, honey, and we'll work this out and we'll get it done and we'll figure out your life for you.
That should be major red flag.
Yeah.
That's when you go to DEFCON 4. Because not much planetarily changes that much. I mean, even within a month, the only thing that will really change is the sun and the moon and some of the, there's not a lot of major changes even within a month's time. So if someone's saying to come in every week, there's not a reason for that coming from astrology. Mm-hmm. Now, the only caveat to that being, if you are doing something outside of your own natal work, if you're planning a business, if you're planning a wedding, those sorts of things that we talked about, that may require something on a more frequent basis, but that's a standalone thing.
Right.
It's not ongoing.
And it's not something that takes very long to do.
No.
And it's something that you can put together. Because
right.
That is one of the important things that I want to make sure that people understand is because we're all about self-empowerment.
Exactly.
And if you give your power away to somebody else because you think they have all your answers, it's like we talk about with a psychic, with a medium, with anybody who uses intuitive gifts. They help you empower yourself.
Exactly.
If you take it and let them have your power, then you've lost it. And so you need to be careful about that because it's like the lottery sometimes because people can, it's really cool when you go, hey, what's my chart over there saying? It's like,
right. Well, and that's why in every reading I do, I'm talking to people about here is the productive way you can use this energy. Here's more of a destructive way. I mean, I even try to get people out of good and bad because those, we take so many judgments on ourselves and we keep imposing them on ourselves. But I do very frequently stress to people, here is your option. Here's the energy you're working with. Here's the tool you have in your hand. What are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
My job is to help identify what you have. It's I read just a really great thing yesterday where someone says, you are the captain of the ship and the astrologer is the navigator. The navigator can kind of help steer you through the rough waters, can get you through the safest path, but the captain always calls the shots. Always.
And we can't forget that.
That's right.
Because sometimes we have a tendency to say, what's going to happen to me now?
Yep.
And you don't know because it's free will.
It is free will.
You have the opportunity.
I can give you some pretty strong likelihoods, but you always have the option to change your own destiny.
We got 15 minutes left. We're going to go into a break in a minute, but what else would you like to make sure that we get out there?
Oh, wow. That's kind of an open-ended question.
Well, why don't you take a minute
I'll
to
take
think
a minute
about
to think about that.
And we're going to go take our break, and we'll be back. We got a couple folks on the line, and we'll be right back.
Excellent.
Welcome back, and we are talking to Michael Poulson. Michael Poulson is an astrologer, a top-rate astrologer. Michael, how can they get a hold of you?
You can call me at 206-320-1249, or you can email me at twister@oz.net.
I just love
Well,
that.
you know, Dorothy and Glinda were already taken. I had to do the best I could. Twister@oz.net.
I just love that. Okay, we got a couple of callers, and then we're going to go through these fairly quickly, and because we've got 10 minutes left. So, Lee from Seattle, you're up. Lee?
Hi.
Hi, Lee.
Hey, Michael.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
What's up?
I'm actually calling about my daughter, who is a senior in high school, is about ready to go off to college.
Okay.
And she's going, we're probably going to accept an offer from East Boston U, but she wants to go into performing arts, and I'm just wondering if this was the correct path that she, a good path for her, rather.
Right. What is her, do you have her date of birth? Of course you do,
January-
because you're the mom.
Right.
Unless you forgot.
May I have her date of birth, please?
January 3rd, 1985. And I think it's 5:04 a.m.
85 kids are graduating high school already? Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, let me take a quick look at her planetary lineup, and we'll see what's going on.
Okay.
And
Na, 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 na. I really need to have that music for you, but
so you know what? She's pretty much the kind of kid, wow, anything she puts her mind to, she does. I don't think you have a choice in this. I mean, if it's something she really wants to do, I think that she's going to do it regardless, and so I think that you can either support that or hinder it, and I'm always in favor of supporting it.
I completely want to support her. I just want, it's just sometimes, performing arts is so hard, and it's been kind of a struggle this way and that way in some ways for her. So,
and I'm sorry, what was her time of birth again?
5:04.
5:04
a.m.
a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, so that's...
Well,
she's got so much earth in her chart that I think that, she's got that great Capricorn sun, which Capricorns they're tenacious. They set they set their mind to something, and then she's got a great little Taurus moon to just back it up. Lots of earth, so very, very practical, very grounded. And again, it's something that if she wants to do it, she's going to do it. And if she decides that whatever she decides she wants to do, she will succeed.
Is that right?
And if she doesn't succeed at it, it's because she's actually changed her mind to do something else.
I see. And do you think that going back east instead of going maybe to California is a good...
Depends on what type of performing art she wants to go into. Does she want to do stage or film?
Well, she wants to do film, but it looks like the offers for work, the school are coming more from back east.
Then I would... I would say probably back east. The one thing that that you find quite often on the West Coast, I mean, of course, I'm such the authority on performing arts, but unless she wants to get into the studio system of films, which is very, very difficult, I feel stronger towards the East Coast because you're getting a lot more of the independent films coming out of there now.
And let me explain something from having a performance background.
Mm-hmm.
Theater is an actor's medium. Movies is a director's medium. Learn how to act on stage. You'll always be able to act in movies.
That's very
Thank
good.
you, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's how you need to be. That's how you need to train yourself theatrically.
She does have a very well. There's almost a fated destiny point in this for her.
Mm-hmm.
Pursuing this is going to be good for her on some level. Okay, so whether it's that fated destiny is that she came in here with this fabulous talent and she's going to rocket to stardom, or whatever that little package of toolbox stuff that she came into this life with, that's one of the ways that she's going to work with those tools, is pursuing this.
Okay, and I missed what you said. Did you say that she did come in with a good...
Yes, she did. Well, she came in...
Level of...
What this experience will give for her is the ability to work through some of that karmic destiny stuff she brought in with her. Regardless of her success, it's something she must do.
And the reality is, it doesn't matter whether she makes a boatload of money or not.
No.
If she's happy and can fulfill her life destiny,
there's some serious growth potential for her in this, regardless of the success point.
And if she enjoys acting, she can do community theater or she could go on the radio, or she could be a good salesperson, or any of those things in front of people. That training will be perfect for.
Exactly.
Right, but Michael, do you think that this level, but I am kind of wondering, would she be successful in this if she pursued it very hard?
For that, I would need to look at her entire chart, which we don't have time to run right now.
I see.
There's a lot of calculation involved with success potential. So I'd really, rather than give you an off the cuff answer, I'd really rather look at her full chart when I had time to study it.
Lee, I'm going to give you Michael's phone number again before the show ends. So if you want to pursue it, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, I've already written it down.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a good one. Okay, we're gonna talk to Rose real quick, and I'd also like to welcome Katie Evans to the studio.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Hi, Katie.
Okay, Michael. We're going to talk about hypnosis in my show, but first, Leo Moon, Sag Rising.
Oh, I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
We got a fire chick over here.
Yes, triple fire sign.
Yes.
What do you? Hang on, Rose. Don't hang up.
Yeah, but see, I can talk to you afterwards. Oh no, because you're on the air.
I'm on the air. 6 minutes after.
Yeah, lots of fire stuff going on. It's actually a very favorable time for lots of transformation. Again, this Pluto thing that I was talking about with Drew.
Yeah.
It's plugging into it's plugging into a lot of places for you. It's plugging into your Pluto. It's plugging into your Sun. It's plugging into your Moon. It's plugging into your Ascendant. Everywhere in fire in your chart. Since you have so much fire, tons of power, tons of transformation. It's a rocket ship right now for you. It really
feels like it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And stay tuned at 6 minutes after 2. We'll be talking about hypnosis with Lisa Krunick and all kinds of fun ways to get healthy and get fit.
Great.
Thanks,
Rose.
Kevin. Thank you, Michael.
That is a Lighten Up show. And Rose, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi, Rose. What can I do for you?
Well, I wanted to give you my birth date and time. It's December 19th, 1953 at 1:59 p.m.
Okay, 1 second while I grab that. December 19th, 53.
Now, Rose, did you recently find out what time exactly you were born? Have you always known that?
I've known that because I've had a couple of charts done over the years.
Okay, and what is it you'd like to know?
Well, I'm presently in a relationship with a Taurus.
Okay.
And I wanted to know about cohabitating rather than keeping our separate space and this summer for a time of that.
Okay, one of the big things for you, how are you with that? The one question I would ask you is it's got a lot to do with your Mars. Okay, that Mars energy, which can be very territorial. You've got that Mars very close to the Scorpio cusp. So a lot of what's coming in here is that Mars in Scorpio is very they're very open and welcoming, but very suspicious. Okay, so one of the things for you, this has nothing to do with the other person. How are you with yourself in opening up that territory?
My home.
Right. If that's where the cohabitation is going to take place, it's a little bit of that territorialism. And is this person, are you honestly going to be open and welcoming, or are you always going to be on a little bit of an alert, waiting for that, that reason to strike? Is how we want. There's a little bit of that defensiveness that comes with the territory, with the Mars and Scorpio. They're they can be very, very opening and very welcoming, but you don't ever want to screw with them. So for me, the biggest challenge I see for you is just being able to be open and allowing that to happen freely.
Do you think it would be better to be in a neutral space then than to come into my space?
Probably, although that territorialism will always follow you, it's up to you to choose whether or not you're going to let those defenses down or not. I think it may be easier up front, in a neutral space because you don't have all of that investment there. But a neutral space eventually will become your space as well. Right?
Even with the Taurus?
Well, it's a nice balance, which I'm glad to see that at least there is that balance, because Taurus and Scorpio do balance each other very well. So, but that would be a whole compatibility thing that I'd want to look at both of your charts to see more information about that. But just looking at your information here, that's one of the big keys for you is, are you open and comfortable with allowing that to happen?
Okay.
Rose, thank you so much for calling.
You.
We got to go. Michael, thank you for being here.
Kevin, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed it. Again, how do people get a hold of you?
206-320-1249. twister@oz.net by email, and of course Conscious Talk every Sunday night, 8 to 10 p.m. here on KKNW. We'll be moving 6 to 8 p.m. starting in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to get that out, so that's going to be 6 to 8 p.m. I've had a great time, and you need to come back on this show.
I would love to, anytime.
And it's just been marvelous. So you'll have to do my chart before you get out of here, but thank you again. Katie Evans is next on Lighten Up. Kim Miller tonight at the P&G Cafe in Duval. Be there. I may be there if my water heater holds up, which we have to talk about. But you have a great afternoon, and thank you. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to Beverly Ingalls about sexual abuse. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.